Okay, we've got a packed session. Welcome to the 20th meetup of the Formbird Professionals Community. My name's Paul. You all know me now. It's great to see everyone here. Great to see everybody coming in. Thank you for taking the time out. I know you've all got busy days and you've got plenty to do, but we've got plenty to talk about today and hopefully some exciting updates from Adam and Mark and Paul. First up, Mark's going to tell us a bit about the whole of life cost calculator. Maybe someone's going to give us a demo, but maybe we'll just talk about how exciting it is. Then Adam and Paul are going to talk about the main topic today, which is communication between operators and the workshop, which is, of course, a very important thing. And, of course, we're going to hear from you guys as well. So, you know, as I always say, jump in any time. Join the discussion, be part of the community. If you've got any questions that you desperately want answered, make sure that you either tap them in there, and if they're not really what we're talking about, feel free to take them offline and do them with either Adam or Mark or Ian. Now, if you haven't already, which you probably have because you're here now, you're getting personalised invites. You can go to our formbird.com under our resources tab and then go to Formbird Professional Fleets Community and register for your free membership, I guess, you know, even if you're just a bystander or an onlooker. Also to remind you, we do record this, and like we are recording it right now, and you can always catch up on our website, on our YouTube channel. We even share it on Facebook and LinkedIn. So give us a like or something. Okay. Mark, here's the news with Mark. Mark, you're going to tell us all about whole of life cost calculator or your interpretation thereof.
I don't know, some of you may or may not know, but we've been sponsoring the whole of life cost calculator for IPWIA Fleet for the past, 6-7 years. It kind of hasn't had much love for the last probably 4 years or 5 years even, over the 7 years. So it had a sort of initial burst. It was interesting. Ian and I have just come back from the IPWIA Fleet Conference, which is held every year in Brisbane. They keep threatening they might move it out of Brisbane, but they seem to struggle to move it from that venue. I don't know whether you guys know about it, but you can certainly get access to it. And we're sort of looking at whether we incorporate it in the app itself or what have you. It's a little app that lets you basically profile vehicles and do a whole of life calculation. The funny thing is that it sort of went into sort of neglect, and the management of IPWIA did a sort of change over the last 12 months. And they sort of lost interest, but then all of a sudden, a couple of them actually started asking around the community, and there was sort of outcry by a number of the users, and we've actually found that actually the utilization is quite high and it's quite loved. So in doing that, Paul has bent over backwards and worked his ass off like he often does, and got it migrated to the version 4 platform and sort of modernized it and brought it up to speed and what have you. So if you guys are interested at all, you get, access to it, no problem. It's not quite released. And if anyone does want to get involved in reviewing the application, we're also we've got a couple of people that are non-Formbird customers at the moment that are going to actually come and help review it, including Mark, the president of the IPWIA Fleet group. So we're going to look at, I think next week we're doing a sort of beta review, a bit of a review of the app, and as soon as everyone's happy with it, we will release it again, or upgrade, I should say, not release it again, but upgrade and provide access to it. And they've got a lot of sort of excitement around trying to now build it back up again. Now they've discovered that it's kind of this little hidden gem that they didn't realise they actually sort of had. Just the actual whole of life. Sorry,
just 1 second, Mark. Sorry. I have a question. Could you just explain what it actually does?
Hopefully a lot of guys have seen it or have played with it, but it's a whole of life calculator or best value tool. So it lets you put in a profile of number of vehicles with all of their operating costs, and you just estimate it all out, and then you can basically create a sheet of comparable vehicles, and I suppose provide a methodology, if you like, around assessing total cost of ownership, and therefore, the other term people seem to use within the community is best value tool. So either best value tool, whole of life, or whatever, but it's really a whole of life cost calculation, which then is determining your best value or best value product to purchase. It's something that, again, we could fairly easily incorporate it within Formbird Fleet as well directly, if that's of interest to people, which could be on the sort of, we haven't spent a lot of time at the moment on the pre-purchase side, and on the purchase and birthing side, but it could be something that, again, through feedback through you guys, we can determine whether or not it's something you want. We leave it out and leave it in the IPRIA, we bring it in, or we leave it out in the IPRIA and create a sort of push through that says, yeah, I want to push through these or whatever. It's generally being used for purely pre-purchase and market assessment. Is there any questions? No. Deadly silence. That's good.
Yeah, I'm all for putting it on your main Formbird platform. I think it's one-stop shop. That's what we're all about, isn't it?
Cool. So how do you just actually, now that you sort of say that, how do you currently, Dion and Marie and guys, how do you, and David and anyone else, how do you currently do your sort of best value calculation? Do you use the IPRIA tool, or do you do it yourself, or what are you doing to try and do whole of life calculations?
It's a bit of both. I've used it before. That was mainly for a like a fleet purchasing review. So what we're going to bring into our fleet makeup, as in, do we want an X-Trail? Do we want a Corolla? Do we want this? Do we want that? And that's how we establish, by running that through the whole of life calculating tool. And then we sort of keep those vehicles in for a number of years before we're just about ready to do another review now, actually, just to see what's out in the market. Try and establish best value for money, I guess.
I know.
We also use it for hourly rates. Sorry for cutting in.
Sorry, no. I know it's there, but I haven't used it.
I've had a go at it, Mark. I think inputting the data into the form was good, but what my experience was, as Dion said, you wanted to compare half a dozen vehicles, and then I'm like, how do I get all those into one table to say, the Corolla was better than the X-Trail, that was better than this. So currently I've just been I grab my data from various sources and put it in Excel so I can see it, each unit. But I'll be interested in seeing how the new version works, and happy to do some testing with you to see if I can get a format I can then, because our executive team, they just want to see summaries. Give me the numbers, this much fuel, what's it going to be worth at the end of 5 years roughly, using data from Redbook or something to give you a guide, and then go, yep, we should be buying X based on the numbers.
Okay, cool. Because that would be a very effective way, if you guys are interested and we want to incorporate it in the app, is to review obviously the external app that's now going in the environment, so that we're developing once in effect, and we get that working as well as possible, and then we can decide on whether we're moving any of it across or keeping it out, and refining, whether it needs integration, or even pulling data for your environment into it, so that you can say, give me my last whatever vehicles, or select my vehicles and pull them in. I don't know, but it would be useful for us to look at what's already there and see how that fits in your own spaces, so that we can be a little bit selfish around our own user group and the needs.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. I'll hand it back to you. You on mute there, Paul, of course.
Sorry, thank you. Yes, that was the WALC, which is the whole of life cost calculator, which is of course the worst acronym ever. Okay, but we can move right along. I think, Adam, are you with us? Are you ready? Do you have something exciting to show us about?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just preface this with, I remember speaking or hearing from a client, and using Formbird Fleet as a communication tool was one of the first times they sort of had their aha moment, and that was when a dump truck or rubbish truck tipped over, and they had to sort of, you know, communicate out from the dump truck, and it actually saved them a lot of time and money because they didn't all have to rush out and have a look. The mechanic could actually, or the driver could actually just send photos of what the damage was, and they could work out what equipment was used. So, you know, that's just a preface of how this function has worked in the past. So hopefully you've got something as exciting as a dump truck falling over.
Yeah, so this has come about. I guess the whole topic is about how to better facilitate or more easily facilitate communication between operators in the workshop primarily. So this came about from a discussion at the last professionals meeting, which was kind of kicked off by Raymond at Pardinia, suggesting like a way for operators to message essentially within the application. So Paul's gone away and developed some really open and flexible functionality to achieve this. And it's ended up being a lot broader in terms of kind of any different users or groups of users could use it for many different purposes to communicate. But it's essentially like a messaging tool in the application. Yeah, the main purpose is for operators to easily communicate with the workshop, and an example would be around coordinating service booking, for example. Those situations where you need a little bit of back and forth between the operator and the workshop to identify, you know, what's required effectively. Something more that provides more back and forth than just simply lodging a service request or lodging a repair request or a pre-start that we already have the ability to do. So I'll share my screen here. All right, hopefully you can see that. Can I get a thumbs up from you, Dion, if you can see my screen there? Or Marie, thank you. Perfect. So I'm just logged into the application here as an operator. This new area of the application, I guess, is in this conversations panel here. And depending on who the user is, so obviously as an operator, I can see certain conversations, and depending on the user, you can see different ones. So for operators, operators can see conversations that are created by them or related to them. There's a couple of different ways that they can create a new conversation. One is obviously this new conversation button here that you can use, or they can also click on an asset in this table as well. So you can see here we've kind of changed the way that operators interact with these assets, and they can create a conversation that way as well. I'll just jump down here. So you can see here, I've got some existing conversations that have been created. You can see the full history of the chat between the different people. All right, so new conversation. So you can see here, there are some pre-populated fields, you know, the created date, created by, pretty standard stuff. It's also populated with the mobile phone number and the email according to the person who created it. But you can see here, these are editable fields. So maybe the mobile phone number is wrong, in which case I can change it. The ID field is just a unique reference within the application. That's populated when the document is saved. We've got the ability here to configure some quick subjects, if you like, to make it a little bit easier to kind of create a subject. These are totally configurable for each customer's environment. You can select that quick subject, and you can see that it will actually populate the subject field, which is the mandatory one, and it also opens up the panel below. You don't have to use that though if you don't want to. So if the quick subject isn't applicable to you, you can also just free text entry my conversation topic. So here we can decide who we want to notify. So it could be a specific other user that we want to notify. For example, maybe I want to message Paul, one of Paul's accounts. But maybe I also want to message the workshop as well. So if I type in here, I can also choose to message a particular workshop. here we can, again, optionally make this conversation linked to a specific asset. So I'll select one here. So this is basically a request for a service for this asset is what I'm creating. Doesn't necessarily need to be linked to an asset, and it doesn't necessarily need to be about a service, but it's the example that I'll run with. You can add a new message if you like. So clicking on that little edit button, I can type something in here. So hi, I'd like to book this vehicle for its regular service. And I can click that again to save the message. And then I can also go down here. We've built some new functionality here to have workshop bays essentially, and workshop bays are designed to indicate like a slot that's available for operators to book in an asset. So it's kind of like starting to head down that self-service route, but not entirely really, because it's just about requesting a slot. But it's designed hopefully in the future to be able to leverage this to make it more efficient in like booking services. So you can click on the calendar and the bay that's available and the desired time, or you can use the date picker if this isn't configured, or you want to change what you've selected. You can also use the date picker to change that. So maybe actually I want that to be next Monday at 1 p.m, for example. So that's my requested booking time for the activity that I'm creating the conversation about, in this case for a service. So the last thing for the operator here is to click the save tick. And you can see that's populated the ID now, and it's got a name that summarizes kind of what the conversation is about. So just bear with me now. I'm just going to swap to an admin / supervisor kind of view of the application. All right, so this is the all workshop dash here. So a supervisor might log into this page, or an administrator. Again, this is similar to the supervisor dash, so I just use it as an easy example. Supervisors or admins can find the conversations in this panel here. Administrators can also find it on the admin homepage. If they scroll down past the assets, you can see all of the conversations. And you can see here that we've got some existing conversations. So admins being admins, they can see all of it. So part of this is really open communication. So, you know, things aren't lost in email chains between specific people or text messages between specific people. If you want, you can use this to create this like really open communication about things. I'll just refresh the page here. So my new conversation pops up. All right, so you can see this is my request for service about 1036B, the asset, and who's being notified. This notified field is important, obviously. It's going to determine who actually gets notifications, and that's via email. You can see a preview of the chat to date, if you like, the conversation to date, and we can also add a new note. So maybe thanks, we'll get back to you about time. And click the send button. So based on me sending that message, it's going to add it to the chat there. You can see the conversation. It's also notified the people in that either in that notification field or who's reported it. But obviously that'll be excluding the person who's just added the message. If you want to see more detail about the conversation, we can also access it directly by clicking on the link to it. So I can go in here. I can see the chats to date. So you can see Adam Griswold, operator, created that first message, and then that's the next one there. I can review the booking time here and change that. So maybe we'll change that to the can't do it on Monday. We'll do it the following Monday.
Adam, Dion's got a question on that. Is that time slot then booked, blocked out, or is that it's not actually going to the workshop scheduling, is it?
Not yet, no. So it doesn't go directly to the workshop scheduling. This is like a review step. If you had the bays set up, it's not actually, the operators don't have the ability to kind of decide when the request happens. So this is all pre-request getting created.
So it's more about just indicating perhaps the workshop activity so that you can potentially, so this is the step before the ability for operators to at least have a look at availability of the workshop in general.
Correct, yeah. If it's been configured that way for the particular site, then yeah, they'd be able to see what other requests are actually already booked in there, and then that wouldn't be available for them to select, basically.
Does that answer the question, Darren?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So basically, it'll be an open booking for the operator, and then it's decided after this step. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'll show you in a second.
Yep.
So I've changed the booking date. So maybe we'll add a note in here to the operator saying, "Hi, 8th isn't available. We can do the 15th or something." And I can save that. You can see that's added it to the conversation. And then it comes to actually actioning this particular conversation. Again, this is not mandatory. It's just one way it can be used. But we can actually link it to a specific request, either one that's already been created, so one of these existing requests, or we can create a new request from this page here. So I think this is like the step that we're kind of actually deciding when we're actually going to do the activity. So I can do a new service request. I can decide to inherit the requested time or not. So I've changed the requested time there, so I will inherit that. It'll make it a bit easier. And then I can click on create new request. So this has created a new template with some pre-populated information. Again, you can see it's got the asset there, and it's got all my upcoming services that are possibly due. So you can kind of, the operator might say that the 80,000 service is due, but you might also notice that the crane inspection is due around the same time. So you might choose to select to do that service as well. And then we can create that service request by saving it. And that's where we've got that service request now booked in. And you can see here on the request, we've now got this workshop bay field where you can actually select the workshop bay if it's configured properly. So because this conversation that I'll just stop on the request there. We won't go through that whole workflow. Because this conversation is linked to a particular asset and now a particular service request as well, it's going to appear in a few different places. So it's like easily accessible essentially. So the first place is going to be on the asset itself. So I'm just going to jump across to the asset here. So you can see I'm on 1036B. If I go into the asset history section, you can see I've got my conversations there. I just need to refresh the data table. So you can see any conversations that have been created related to this asset. So the full history there. Then we've also got on the request as well. So if I just jump across to this request here that we created. And I use this navigation button at the top here, conversation list. You can see that the conversations related to this request are also presented here. So you can see all that dialogue that's gone back and forth between me and myself. And then as needed, you could also add new conversation notes as an easy means to be able to communicate stuff back to the operator. So it could be that, additional work's required, it's not going to be ready today, whatever it might be, you can just kind of add it to that same thread. So it's all easy to find. On the administrator menu in the reports and listings section, we've also got this conversations list, which is just all of the conversations in the environment, so you can find all of them. And then in the help center, we've got a help article about it that talks about how to configure those quick subjects, talks you through how to create a new conversation, and then all about viewing and replying to the conversation, and also that action step as well is all in there. That's all on the conversations for me. Any questions?
So Adam, I think that maybe we shouldn't call them tweets, but maybe they should be called beeps.
Beeps?
Beeps. There you go.
Why beeps, Mark?
Oh, car goes beep beep.
Car goes beep beep. That's good.
Sorry, I've just got a question. Hi, my name's Victor. We're not using Formbird yet, so I'm just looking at Formbird. But when you say the operator gets the message, where do they get the message? Do they get the message on an app, on their phone? Does it get emailed to them, or is it through the single sign-in portal for Formbird, or?
It's an email notification.
Email notification. Okay.
Well, I suppose it's both. It goes into the application because it goes onto their home page if they're logged in, but it also can go external. And so it can go email or go through a SMS gateway if you've got that configured as well.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks.
And there's also in-app notifications, so there's a thing that'll pop up in front of your face.
Yep, thank you.
Well, anybody else got anything else to say? Adam, are you, when does this sort of all come out live and so on?
That's a great question. We've been discussing doing a release in the next week or two. We'll need to confirm though, in our usual kind of process about when we're actually doing that.
Right. Okay.
I'll just share my screen again because I do actually have an example of that in-app notification that Paul was talking about there. So you can kind of see what that looks like. So you can see I'm back as the operator here. And you can see this in-app notification that's popped up. So like Mark said, if you're actually in the application, you do also get these updates as well.
I just got to...
Mark Howard, do you have a question there?
Does the time slot get blocked out if it's unavailable?
Yeah, so the base side of it is probably still kind of something that we're working on. And it's not fully kind of nutted out yet in terms of booking out slots.
Could you possibly put in the calendar pending until it's actually approved, that's confirmed that date in the calendar, I mean?
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to share? Not necessarily about a whole of life, or maybe about the whole of life cost calculator, or communicating, or the little sending the things, or anything else that's completely off the topic. Marie, help me out. Throw me a bone. No, okay. All right. Well, look, it's this week. We could keep this one short and sweet. Is anyone? Oh, hang on. Sorry, unavailable to unmute. Can you email the? Oh, that's somebody else. Okay, we'll do that. Mark. That's Mark Howard, MH. Mark, not Mark Hosking. So look, thank you very much, everybody, for turning up. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Mark, and thank you, me. We'll get this video out to you guys, share it with you, and sometime next week, and broken down into chapters, which you can jump forward and miss all the crappy bits that I do. See you soon, and keep on trucking.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Keep on beeping.
Beeping. Okay, beep. Great marketing there, Mark.